Oh, good afternoon. Welcome to Create Your Own Destiny. And this afternoon, I have in the studio my good friend Simon Hendricks. How you doing, Si?
Yeah, I'm really good, mate. Yourself?
I'm great, thank you. Thanks for joining me this afternoon.
No
So,
problem.
before we get started, the listeners who don't know you, do you want to give me like a 30-second lowdown and what you're all about, mate?
Yeah, so I'm ex-military. Obviously, I served in the Navy for 10 years, loved it. Unfortunately for me, my career was cut short. Then I moved into the private security sector where I became a team leader of armed guards, protecting vessels against piracy attacks. So if you've ever watched the movie Captain Phillips with Tom Hanks, true story.
Wow.
Yeah, it's all based on that. I did that for 6 years, but I don't know. I just got to the point where I felt like I had to do something for myself. I've always had a passion for trading. I know people like, oh, trading,
Of
but no,
course,
I
yes.
always seen like, the true benefits of trading. And it turned out to be a real passion of mine, not just for me, but being able to pay it forward and, help other people generate an extra income through trading. So that's what I do now. I'm a trader, stroke networker, pay it forward, help other people make a difference in their lives. And that's where the fulfillment comes from for me.
Oh, fantastic, mate. So where was it in your journey, Si, when you said enough's enough? I need to make this change.
Um, Good question. There wasn't really like one point in particular. I think it was a catalogue of things. The first one was the Navy, to be honest. I didn't think, looking back at it, I don't think I realized it at the time, but subconsciously, it did have an effect. And you don't sometimes, Si, you don't realize these things until you look back and reflect on once you've
Of
been
course.
through whatever it is. But the Navy, so the reason why I would say that is because obviously I served in the Navy for 10 years and I loved it. I'm grateful. I'm still grateful. There's no hard feelings towards the Navy, by the way. But I was medically discharged for an injury they knew about 10 years prior when I first walked through the gates to start basic training. I was like, well, you already knew about this. Why are you medically discharging me 10 years later? And the reason why I'm saying that is because it felt like the rug was pulled from underneath my feet.
I see.
Something was taken away from me, the decision lying in someone else's hands, which it is for the majority of people, let's be honest. The
Yes, yes.
second the second time was when I was doing a security out in the Middle East. And again, subconsciously, I didn't think about it at the time. On reflection, but the security in the Middle East, the threat level was going up, and we got an email. Team leaders got an email saying the threat level was going up, and then 2 days later, we get another email from the same company saying, "Yeah, we want you to do the same job for less." Now, when I say the threat level was going up, it switched from piracy attacks to terrorism. So a bit of a
Wow.
jump.
That's
Yeah,
a that's a
yeah.
high.
Wow.
It's like the risk is changing.
Yeah, well, big time. And I just thought to myself, it just goes to show not everyone. So I'm not like here to include everyone in this bracket
Of
because there
course,
are
yeah.
the CEOs and business owners out there who actually do care about the people. But in this particular circumstance, it was a slap in the face. I was like, you really don't care about us. And I felt like a statistic. The company knew that the shipping companies were desperate for protection. Yet our company at the time knew, well, it was a bit of a double whammy for them. The shipping companies needed protecting, so they're going to drop our wages to increase their profit margins, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Yes. So I felt like a statistic, and it got to a point where I just thought to myself, it's risk to reward now. Is it really worth my while coming out here to do this job, dangerous job,
Of course it
but
is.
for like
But
for like
what
little reward and the sacrifices that we made from loved ones, family, friends, and everything else? It was just I can't do this anymore. And it was at that time, by the way, it was at that time I picked up the book. There's a bit of a story behind this. I picked up the book Rich Dad Poor Dad from
amazing
Robert
book.
Kiyosaki. Yeah, and the only reason why I picked up that book because I'll tell you a little story. As security guards, we used to have our laptops and hard drives. So when you weren't on duty, you'd be in your cabin watching movies because you were on a ship. It's not like you could go here, there, and everywhere.
Of
You were,
course, no. Yeah, definitely.
you were
You're
contained.
fine.
But I'd watched everything on my hard drive. I'd swapped movies with everybody else. I'd seen everything. And there was this one PDF on the desktop, one, just one. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to see what this is all about. And it was Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And I couldn't stop reading it. Right. So I was going up when it was my turn to go onto the bridge of these vessels to carry out duties and I'll look out for pirates. Yes, they do exist.
Yeah,
I couldn't wait to get back down to the cabin and carry on reading this book of Rich Dad Poor Dad because I could relate so much of what Kiyosaki was saying. So, in regards to your first question, when was enough enough? That was it. It was those two like situations where I felt like one, I felt like a statistic, and the second one, well, the first one with the Navy, where I felt like I had the rug pulled from underneath my feet. My career was cut short in regards to something they already knew about 10 years prior, and I thought someone's got to change. And I made a promise to myself, Si, that moving forward, if I could help it, I wasn't going to hand the power to someone else to make a decision based on my future without me having a say so in it.
of course, yeah, absolutely. You got to do it, mate. You can't have that in your life.
Exactly.
I can totally relate to security. Obviously, I've not been an armed guard, but I've been in the security sector where I've worked at music events, other events, and there's been a couple of occasions where I've been on a door and there's been a package left next near me. I mean, it could have been a bomb, but it wasn't a bomb, And obviously, you're thinking, am I risking my life for what back then was minimum wage would have been about
Yeah.
£4 an hour for
Yeah.
my life? Is it really worth it?
Well, it's interesting because the security gig for me specifically, and again, I keep mentioning this thing subconscious because a lot of the time you don't actually realize what's taking place in front of you because you're actually living the moment. It's when you reflect. So the security thing for me, and this is where entrepreneurship was creeping into my subconscious mind, but I didn't know it at the time. I was my own boss. Because I was a team leader, I had no boss over my shoulder checking in
I
on me,
see. Yeah,
right? So I was my own boss. I made the decisions. I had the responsibility of carrying out this duty of a team to protect that vessel. Every decision was on me. So that responsibility, I actually relished in that. It was me who was the face of the company. So I had no people over the shoulder checking in. Are you doing this right? Are you doing that right? There was a trust factor there, which I appreciated and I relished in it. So, working away, I was my own boss. The responsibility was on me. And then on the flip side, when I was at home, there was none of this calling in asking for a day off. There was none of this, asking for permission to do X, Y, and Z. I was my own boss. I could do what I wanted, when I
yeah, of
want, whenever I wanted, with who I wanted, if that makes sense.
course, yes.
Again, I didn't realize it at the time. I enjoyed the job, don't get me wrong, but these things that we're talking about now, entrepreneurship, time freedom, and things like that, and where did it all change? I only realize this when I look back and reflect on what was happening. Because again, sometimes or a lot of the time, you don't actually feel or appreciate what's happening right in front of you under your nose because you're actually living in the moment.
Yeah, you are indeed, yes.
Does that make sense? But that whole entrepreneurship, there's always a silver lining, as they say. And when that happened to me in the security thing, where I felt like I was just underappreciated, if appreciated at all, I felt like a statistic. They were only sending us out there to increase profit margins. Yeah, it didn't feel too good. In fact, if you really want me to be honest, I felt depressed because I thought, oh, what am I going to do? I'm like in a catch 22. What do I do? If I leave, I've got to go and do the 9 to 5 at home. I didn't want to do that. I hated it. I tried it. I hated it. And it's a gut wrenching feeling. You're trying to figure it out in your own head what you're going to do next. And then, I don't know, the universe has got its own funny, mysterious way of showing you the way and guiding you. And that's exactly what happened. I was guided to the right people. I was asking people the right questions. And
Of
then
course.
doors just flew open.
Amazing. That's amazing, mate. So if you could have a billboard site with
Yeah.
anything written on it, what would yours say?
What about me?
Yeah,
Um, Good question. I don't know. I think it'd be along that because I've had quite like the upbringing. Obviously, when I was a teenager, it wasn't all rainbows and unicorns. I was in foster care. I was in a hostel. My life was, I wouldn't say dire, but it wasn't shaping out the way I wanted it to be as a teenager.
I
I
relate to
think
that.
that I think that billboard would say something along the lines of "It's not over until it's over." Right? And it doesn't matter where you come from and what challenges you faced in the past. You can build your future the way you envision it. if you really want to and you knuckle down, you work hard, something along those lines, side that, always believe in yourself.
I
And you
totally
don't
get that.
and you don't need big one here. You don't need other people's approval or acceptance to be able to do what it is that you want to do or become the person you want to be.
You don't know. I totally agree with that. Obviously, I learned that now, but in the past, it took me a long time to learn that kind of stuff because because the seed's planted in your head
Yeah.
and it grows. But I learned how to rewire myself and become the greatest version of myself.
Sometimes though, and I get the whole rewiring thing. Sometimes it's not about rewiring. It's about the environment that you keep. Maybe
Yes,
you're good, mate. Maybe you're good to go. You're just not in the right environment. Not you personally. It might be you. It might be others who are listening and watching. It might not be like for some people it is. You need to like I don't know fix the limiting beliefs maybe, and that
yeah,
usually 90% of the time goes back to childhood trauma. Like with me, for example, going off topic a little bit,
of course,
I always felt like I wasn't worthy, and I couldn't put my finger on why. I wasn't worthy of success. I wasn't worthy of being around the right people. I wasn't worthy of being in this room, that room. Couldn't figure it out until a friend of mine, really good coach, said, "Did anything happen to you in your childhood?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "I felt rejected by my father. My father left me when I was a kid. I didn't have him to lean on. I didn't have him to go to and ask
yeah,
questions and stuff." And then I found him again later on in my life when I was 17 in America, and he did the same again. We fell out. He rejected me. So it was a rejection. It wasn't the feeling of not feeling worthy. It was the fear of rejection. Do you know what I mean? So for some people, the inner work will play a big part. But then again, for other people, you might be good. You're just not amongst the right people in the right room.
yeah. I totally get it.
If that makes sense.
I totally get it. It's mixing the right people,
Yeah,
mixing in the right environments.
yeah. People are going to lift you up and believe in you and not question what you're doing. Like maybe you've got a few projects and you're reaching out to people and asking for their take on it, and you get those people, don't you? I wouldn't do that, or I wouldn't do this. Those type of people are a fixed mindset, and ideally, you want to be around people who are going to encourage your growth, who are of a growth mindset. So it might not necessarily be you; it might just be the environment and that circle that you're keeping.
Yeah, I get that. I think sometimes you need certain different people. You need some people around you that you inspire,
Yeah.
and then you need sort of people that inspire you, and then maybe some people you can just chill out with.
Yeah. Well, you know what they say, don't you? Something like what's the term? If you're the most successful at the table, you're at the wrong table.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what is the most important thing you've learned in life? What was your life like after learning it, and what was your life like? What was your life like once you learn it?
Exactly what I've just said. You don't need people's acceptance or approval.
Wow, amazing. No,
And
no,
I'll give you some. I mean, I've been that person who was like, "Or what if so and so says this?" And what if so and so says that? At the end of the day, you've got your own path to walk, right? You're gonna face hurdles, and it's not gonna work out amazingly immediately. You're gonna have your ups, you have your downs. It's like with anything in life. And if it's something that you've got a passion for and a burning desire, you really don't need, people's approval or acceptance if it's truly what it is that you want to do. And we've all fallen in that trap at some point, right? Where
everyone.
when we're looking for the seal from our closest, our nearest and dearest, our friends. You don't need it. And as
You
soon
don't
as
know.
you drop that, as soon as you drop that and you get focused, staying in your own lane, right? That was the big thing. Big thing, when I first got started out on this journey with trading, people were laughing at me. So they were laughing at me.
Oh, well,
This is, and it's ironic. Friends of mine who I grown up with, the guys who I used to do the security with, were laughing at me because obviously I was trying to do this while I was working away as well. I'm full time in it now, and then they're still out there working on the water, away from the family and the loved ones and stuff like that. And when I stop listening to others, unless you've got what I want or you're at a place where I want to be, I really don't care too much for your opinion. And that sounds really arrogant, but that's the way you've got to be.
yeah,
Right? And as soon
absolutely.
as I stop listening to other people, it's amazing how the right people show up.
They do indeed.
They do. They just. I don't know what it is, mate. It's like magic. It's like a mysterious thing. They just show up because you're growing as a person. it's true what they say. You attract who you are,
You
right? You
do.
attract who you are and what you are. And I've been so fortunate to have like so many influential people in my life who have picked me up and showed me the way. I've had so many amazing. I'm not too sure whether we were connected, Si, at the time, a few years ago, where I was flown out to a very successful person's home in,
I did remember it. Yes,
yeah, in Salt Lake City in United States. I mean, I was like, what's happening here? It's because of these things. Watch your environment, watch your circles, be the person you want to be. You don't need to listen to anybody else if it's what you want to do. And then all of a sudden, these people just show themselves the right people.
they do indeed.
Yeah. And it
They
helps you
do.
grow, helps you grow. You learn a lot more. It's incredible.
You
That'll
do.
be the one. What I've learned is stop listening to other people's opinions because you do not need their approval or acceptance. That was a massive one.
Wow, amazing. So, if you could organize your own dinner party at your house and have three guests there, dead or alive, so you can pick their brains,
Mm.
which three would you have, and any reasons why you those three people?
I don't think they'd want to come to my dinner party, mate.
Yeah,
um, well, being from Merseyside, I'd have to say Kenny Dalglish. I'm not. You're going to think football straight away and what he's accomplished. It wasn't. It's not just that. It's what he's done for the city. Right? You've got a Glaswegian in Liverpool. Yeah, he did great things for the football club, but it's why he's loved by the people because he's a people's person. He demands. Well, he personally doesn't demand respect, but I've just got so much admiration for the guy. And how he's so much for the people and he's loved. I'd
I know,
love to have that.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and I think, with people like Kenny and there's others as well, don't get me wrong, you can learn so much from people like that. How to treat people, communicate well with people, obviously the art of being a good communicator is a good listener. And Kenny did listen to the city when I don't want to go into too much detail, but when Liverpool as a city was in its hour of need all those years ago, Kenny stepped up
did you? Did
in
indeed.
a big way, and he's just adored for it. So Kenny Dalglish would be one. Um, Another hero of mine would be Joe Calzaghe, the boxer. He was bullied as a youngster in school. Right? And bullying, obviously, I don't advocate that at all, but it's it's a huge success story for Joe coming out of a small town in Wales. He was bullied in school. It could have gone one way or the other. It could have crippled him, and he wouldn't have had the career that he had. But he took that and used it as his power to become, the success that he was. So Joe Calzaghe would be another. The third one, uh, third one, the third one. I'm not too sure on the third one side. Kenny and Joe Calzaghe, definitely. I'm a big football and boxing fan. If you haven't noticed,
I know you are. So am I. So I know you are. I know how big you are.
um, Jim Rohn,
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Definitely.
his philosophies and his one-liners more than anything. They're funny, but they're so powerful.
They are. So the like one-liners are just so powerful.
Yeah,
He was the first. I think he was the first sort of person development audios I listened to was Jim Rohn.
yeah. He's. It's funny with Jim Rohn because he's powerful. His words are powerful. His teachings are powerful. But he's got this like comical edge to him where he's easy to follow and listening. He's listening. It's powerful in what he says, but it's also comical as well. But it's so true in what he says. But yeah, definitely. Yeah, I go with Jim Rohn.
How do you think Jim Rohn would cope now? What way the business world is now and way things are done now? Do you think Jim will be able to adapt to it?
100%. He understood people.
He did indeed.
Business isn't about money. This is where a lot of people get it wrong. Business isn't about money, and that's going to sound like out of reach for people. Business is about people. Business is about being able to listen and communicate to people and solve their problems. And Jim Rohn understood people. So no matter what happens in the business world, Jim Rohn got it. And if he was to come back, obviously, God bless him, it same success. You understand people and desires of people, which Jim Rohn did. World's your oyster.
Yes, indeed. I know we probably touched on this question before. Life's got loads of challenges. Sometimes in life, you like myself, I've been bitten, and then I've gone back to the same situation, and I've been kicked harder. It's like the universe is sort of telling you that you will make a change. And so, what's your? I know what is your perspectives on this?
Higher the level, bigger the devil. It's
Yeah,
always going to happen no matter what level you're at, bottom, middle, top, middle, or bottom, right? You're always going to have kicks and obstacles. Like, that's why personal development and, that inner work, it's not just a one-time thing. It's a constant thing. When you grow, and for some of your viewers, I might be stating the obvious, but when you grow and you're reaching these different levels, it doesn't mean that the problems or, obstacles that you face go away. You just get better at handling them, right? As long as you take the lesson from the previous experience.
yes.
Do
And
you know what I
something,
mean?
of course, some,
People have these experiences and they don't take the lesson. They repeat the same mistake over and over. I've done it. Right? I'm
yeah,
not excluding myself from that. When you appreciate the lesson, it is the universe. I'm a massive believer in the universe. And the universe is trying to suggest something to you, but it won't let you go to that next stage until you're ready. Right?
absolutely,
So take
absolutely.
take the lesson, grow with it, take it for what it is. But these obstacles, they never go away. That's why I say higher the level, bigger the devil, bigger the problem, but you're more equipped to handle it.
Yes, you are indeed. And obviously, I've been kicked, and you become more adapt towards that. Now, I'm very passionate about personal development, getting myself into a good book, or listening to audios, or watching podcasts, or listening to podcasts. Have you got any favorite books or mentors that helped you on your path?
I've got a shelf full of them here. Do you want me to read some off?
Yeah, please. Yeah, please do.
The Slight Edge. The Obstacle is the Way.
Wow.
My favorite one of all time is Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. The Science of Getting Rich. The Magic of Thinking Big. So one of the very first books I ever read, obviously to do with our industry and networking, was Beach Money by Jordan Adler.
That's amazing. That's an amazing book.
He's bought a second version out now. I think Beach Money 2.0, whatever it's called. I'm not too sure. Don't quote me on that. Um, The Alchemist. How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie.
Wow.
Carnegie. Yeah, there's a few, mate. There's a few. There's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a couple, but Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, that's something that everyone should be reading in any walk of life and any business daily. But the apart from that, I think my second favourite would be probably How to Win Friends and Influence People. Again, communicating, understanding where people are coming from, bringing yourself to their level or bringing people up to your level. That's an amazing book.
I think the first book I read was the Rhino Goddess.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I think it's a very first personal book I read.
yeah. But I'll
And
always be grateful to because all this journey started for me with Rich Dad Poor Dad. And that sounds again, it sounds cliche because most people I think have read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and for a lot of people, it has been the one book that instigated everything else. But Rich Dad Poor Dad, even if you're not in business, just how to handle your finances and pay yourself first. A lot of people don't do that. Right? That was one big lesson I took from that. People pay everyone else first, yet you're the one who's going out and working all these hours and earning the income, and you're paying every other Tom, Dick, and Harry first, and you're leaving yourself with the peanuts. Do you know what I mean? Kiyosaki teaches you the other way to do it, and it's a bit of an eye opener, to be honest. But yeah, I'll always be grateful to Rich Dad Poor Dad. But yeah, I've got a few. I've got some networking books there side myself, full of them.
wow, amazing, isn't it? It's amazing how box collecting gets up. So, what is one thing in your business success that you didn't expect?
Say that again. Sorry.
What is one of your things in your business that you become successful and you didn't expect?
One thing in the business I need to become successful.
No, no. What is one thing in your business that you didn't expect?
Um. In my business particular, oh, that's a tough one. Tough one. I think because I'm a trader, obviously I do the networking side as well, and that's just a matter of me, you know, paying forward what's helped me get to me help me get me to where I am in regards to trading. There's people out there who want to learn this skill, and fine. So that's the networking side of it. I don't actually
Culture.
teach people how to trade, but in regards to trading, I didn't actually realize, the mindset when we were talking about personal development, and it's quite ironic, but the mindset that is actually required to become a successful like trader. People think, oh, it's the strategies that make you a ton of money. It's not. It's because you've got an emotional attachment to finances, the fear of loss, fear of missing out, your mindset. So you can have the best strategy on the planet, side in regards to trading. Doesn't mean you're going to do anything with it. It's all up here. It's one of those things, mate. What you think up here will determine how you feel, and the way you feel will determine the actions that you take when it comes to trading or anything else for that matter in life. Right. So it's everything starts from the mind. The power is in the mind, as they say. So yeah, the amount of mindset and work on your mindset that's required. When I first started out, that was a bit of a. I mean, I get it now, but when I first started out, that was a bit of a shock. I just
Culture.
thought, oh, give me the strategy, let's go make lots of money. doesn't
Culture. I totally
doesn't
get it.
exactly yeah, it doesn't exactly work like that.
Because we are programmed, aren't we, for attaching to money.
Well, we have in a good or a bad way.
Yeah. So I love sitting down sometimes and watching inspirational films. And my three favorite films are Rocky, Reach the Sky, and
They're
Pursuit of
so
Happiness. And Pursuit
so
of
good.
Happiness. Is any particular films have had any impact on you in your life, or that you enjoy watching?
I wouldn't say one in particular. I mean, you've mentioned Rocky there. That's like, people in our age group, especially the males. No disrespect to females, by the way. I
No,
know, I know females love boxing, and females are crushing boxing at the minute. And
they
well
are
done to
indeed.
them. But Rocky's everybody's boyhood hero, isn't he? He was the underdog. He went out there and came from nothing to something. Any film like that where there's an underdog who turns out, a success, who beat the odds, didn't give up, showed commitment, desire, and discipline to get to that point where they are. Um, I'm all for it. I wouldn't necessarily say there's one in particular, but I'm not going to disagree with Rocky. Let's put it that way.
So if they can make a movie about you, Si, who would you have play you?
You.
Me.
uh, um, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I think maybe the nearest lookalike you're gonna get is probably DiCaprio.
Yeah. DiCaprio, yeah.
I don't know, mate. DiCaprio, he's still looking good for his age, isn't he?
He is. He's still looking good for his age. Still able to
Yeah.
back the young ladies.
Yeah. Or Ryan Gosling, he's a good actor. I like Ryan Gosling. Is it Ryan? It is Ryan Gosling, isn't it?
I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah, Gosling. Yeah, either one of them two, I'd have no complaints.
Wow. So amazing. So what was the best advice someone's ever given you, Si?
Just go with it.
Go with it.
Just whatever it is, whatever your dream is. I mean, like I said earlier, you're going to face your highs and your lows, and you just got to take them. Just keep rolling with it. Don't let anybody stand in the way of your dream. Right? I'm not going to get too much into this side. Maybe this is another podcast for another time, but I don't like being dictated to by society. I'm a little bit of a rebel that way. Hence why I do what I do. You know, this old age conditioning, if you will, of go to school and do this so you can retire at 75 without a pot to what in.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? So, if you've got a dream or a goal, again, you don't need anyone's approval or acceptance to go and do it. Stay focused, work hard, right? Because nothing comes without working hard. You know, Try and get amongst the right people who are more successful than you, right? Or if they've got the things that you want in life or at a point in life where you want to be, get around them, ask questions, ask good questions, get good answers. Don't waste your time when you're in company like that. Network, get to networking meetings and meet like-minded people who get it. They might not be, on the same path of what it is you want to achieve, but they've got the same mindset, and it's the connections, like I said, getting around the right people in the right room, and then those doors of opportunity just fly open, and then it's
Do
down to you to walk through them.
They do
Just
indeed.
so yeah, so just go with it and give it your best shot. What have you got to lose? You
Nothing
know,
at all.
this life that we live. Again, this sounds a little bit cliche, but tomorrow is not promised.
No, it's not.
So
Who
why
knows?
not? If not now, then when?
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, going to events is great. I went to a big one in 2017. I went to a UPW.
Oh, Tony.
Completely. Tony, yeah, I went saw Tony. It completely changed my life.
Yeah,
Completely. I mean, I went there for one reason, and I come away with a load more other reasons. But also, I made some amazing friends there, which I'm still friends with now.
there you go, mate. You know, that's what happens at these events. I mean, I do events all the time, and a lot of the time, Si, obviously, when I'm like showcasing who we are and what we do, a lot of the time, that's not where the magic happens for people. It's in the break when people are mixing and engaging in conversation and, you know, that person to person connection or after the event.
Yes,
So maybe we're doing a social after the event. Don't get me wrong, you learn things at these events, but I know, Tony. I'm not surprised you came away with so many more reasons. But any event, any event, it's connections you make, the realizations that you have, the little golden nuggets, the light bulb moments. You're learning from something else that's something that they've implemented into their life or their business. Oh, you think, wow, I might give that a go, and before you know it, you're rocking and rolling.
you are indeed. I remember being at network market events and just rooms, say event of 100 people, and we're having a coffee break and chatting to someone, and it's that small one conversation can take your business to another level.
I've
It,
seen it
it-
happen. I've seen it happen so many times. Like my mentor now, Michael in California, he goes to events all the time. He says the same thing. I think we have like a weekly call
yeah,
with the leadership, and he was at an event not so long ago, and he did exactly that. He was having a conversation with someone during an interval or after the event. I think the event was in Dallas or somewhere. I can't be sure, but he implemented something that he'd learned from just having a normal conversation with someone else, and his business skyrocketed. And I can vouch for that because I've seen it.
amazing. Isn't it? It's amazing.
Mm,
Absolutely amazing. Well, Si, it's been really great this afternoon chatting to you. Thanks for coming on.
no
And so,
problem.
so where can my listeners find you, and what's next for you and your plans?
Obviously on my social medias, I'm not really that big on Instagram, Facebook, Simon Kendrick. Just make sure you connect with the right one because there's someone impersonating me at the minute, and it's really annoying. But yeah, Simon Kendrick. If you go onto Facebook, Simon Kendrick. But if you want to learn more about what it is that I do, and you find, you know, trading of an interest, learning the skill, then you can visit simonkendrick.com. That's my own website. There'll be an intro to me. You'll learn a little bit more about me and my journey. I actually give you an insight into the strategies that we teach. Yeah, it's just like an information website. So if you want to learn more about me, you can do at simonkendrick.com and then on Facebook.
Fantastic. So I will. I'll put those details in the comments down below.
No problem, Si. Thanks for
On
having me on, mate. I really
no problem at
appreciate
all.
it. We should do it
And
again sometime.
most definitely, mate. And cheers, Conway. Thank you.
No problem.